Alright folks, welcome back. Before we get started on this episode of ForgeSpace, let me give you my initial impressions of New Mexico in the spring.
I don't like sand. It's coarse, rough and irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Today we are going to go ahead and install our 2-post car lift. This is a 10,000 pound unit from Olympic Equipment, and I already kind of have it marked out on the ground from a width of where the posts are going to go and where we're going to settle it out. So we'll go ahead and get this all lined up, and then drill our mounting holes, lift the posts up, and start getting this installed. So there's two styles of 2-post lifts. There's the independent and with no arch over the top, where the cables run under the center beam on the bottom. So that's the one we have. It's got 2 hydraulic cylinders. We have our hydraulic lines, we have our lift points, post, the base, the motor cylinder, and then our top plates for the cable to run through. So like I said, first thing we're gonna do, finish marking out where these posts are gonna end up at, and then we'll go ahead and get them stood up and drill our holes into our concrete. For this, it says minimum 4 3/4 inch concrete with 30,000 PSI. We have 6 inches of concrete right here, so it's perfect. We have anchoring bolts. And these anchoring bolts, you can see it's serrated down the side. So what you do is you drill your hole, drop it in there, then you hammer it down. The center gets forced in here and forces these outwards, which have grooved bands and they grip into the cement on the sides. So we'll use these with the addition of epoxy. So it'll be doubled up on the secure and fastening of these bolts. All right, so let's get these stood up after we mark out on the floor where we're putting them. Alright, so we got it measured out. It is from the outside edge, so the back end here, to the outside edge on the other side, 129 inches for what the width we need to set it at. And then from the back side, I have it set at basically 9'6" from that side in, so that way there's about 1.5 to 2 feet of walking space behind it. Same on the front side, that way we can get all the way around the vehicle. And then we'll go ahead, I'm gonna stand this up using a engine hoist. We're gonna strap the end and just crank it up until we get it most of the way, and then just tip it the rest of the way. So I may be a little fuzzy on my math, but if it's 129 inches on the outside and it's supposed to be 110 inches from post to post, the base plates don't line up to the instruction manual. So that entire instruction manual, for the most part, at least for the layout, is garbage. I'm not sure if they changed the plate design or what exactly the deal is here, but that's not gonna work. So we're gonna take and line it up to our base plate here for the width. and go from there. Looks like it needs to come out a few inches. Right now it's sitting at 108, I want to say. $104, 105. So 105, and we're supposed to be at 110 inches post to post. So we're 5 inches short. So we're at 129. We need to go out to 134 on the outside of the base plates. So let's do that real quick, and we'll open them out, and then we'll draw our first holes in the middle of both sides, just to get them set, and then we can square it up. All right, so for holes here, we need to drill with a hammer drill, 3/4 inch down, and we're gonna mark out our depth to 4 3/4, which is where the anchor bolt is supposed to seat. Now that we have that pin down on one side, it's not going to tip over on us because it's secured by the fastener right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up, stick this guy in here because it's got notched out for where it's going to go, and that way we can set our width absolutely. It should be pretty much dead on right now, but I just want to be sure. So like I said, I'm gonna lift this up, slide the tray, the cover piece in, and make sure everything fits as needed. All right, so it's all lined up. It is square. So we're gonna drill the rest of our holes. We're gonna go ahead and drill the rest of our holes. Get them all lined up. Drill them out. Set them in on epoxy and the hammering, so that way they're completely secured and we're not gonna go anywhere. So, with that being said, I'm gonna put you guys on time lapse. Drill the holes, and then do that. We have all the holes bored out. We got fasteners in there temporarily for now. So in a moment here, I'm gonna take and pull out the epoxy. Actually, I'm gonna grab it right now. All right, so it's a Simpson Strong Tie anchoring epoxy. It is a 2-part compound, goes right in the caulking gun. And on the backside, you have 2 canisters, an inner and an outer one, and then a mixing tube. So as you squeeze it out, it goes through a mixer, and then we're just gonna inject it in the holes, put our anchors in, hammer them in place, let it set up, and then we'll start leveling this while it's setting up. So let's go ahead and get these installed. There we go. Alright, and here we go from bottom and up. And you'll see it mix in the tube here. And then it's one consistent color coming out the end. All right, so that's starting to set up. We're gonna go ahead and level both these posts. And it was supposed to come, the entire kit's supposed to come with these leveling shims, which it doesn't. So that's a big foul on them. Obviously kind of hard to take and stop the process right now, but I do have some shims that we can use to shim it and level it out, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. So while that is setting up, we are going to go ahead and install our balancing cable. So in order to do that, we have to install the top hats. They have pulley in them. These guys right here. And then after we get those installed, we got to pull the base plate because the cable's got to run there first, and then we can put it in. so I got the first cable in here. So you start off on the offset from the pulley. Cable runs down, runs along the ground to the upper post, comes up over the pulley, and then back down on this side. And then it secures down right here. So another thing I didn't like, look at the size of this damn hole. These are only 5/8. That's a 3/4 inch hole. So we only give you one washer, and it's not really good enough for top and bottom with the size of that hole. So I went ahead, put an extra washer on the other side. Once again, not something that can't be fixed, just irritating from the standpoint of getting a lift like this. So we're gonna keep on going. I'm gonna just go ahead and off camera put the second pulley in and go from there. Right, so we got both cables in. They are ball parked. We won't be able to level them out until it's a little bit loaded down. So once we have arms on it, we'll be able to do that. For now, we're gonna go ahead and install the hydraulic rams. So we have one with 2 ports on it, which goes to the motor and then the crossover. And then we have one where it's just got a single port. So the single port's gonna go on that side because that's gonna be our off side, and then we're gonna put a motor on the outside right here where the mounting plate is at. So I'm gonna go ahead and install the hydraulic ram right here. There's a little round receptacle down at the bottom. So it just gets loaded in there, and it's got a little prong so it wedges itself in place. And then from there, let's see, from there. So it gets down in place, then the chain wraps over the top of it, and then it just floats there. So as it extends out, it pushes the chain out in the middle, and it pushes up in both directions. Over the top didn't work, so I had to disconnect the linkages, bring it back down, and then lift it up to just under the height of the hydraulic rams in the first place. So now I'm gonna get them in. Also, the anchor bolts that come with it, where you gotta hammer it in, you better be prepared to grab the sledge and hammer that shit in, because damn. But very in. All right, so let's get those hydraulic rams in. This time, bottom up, and go from that. So now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Keep the ram in there, drop it down so the chain isn't all bound up, and bring it down to single level. Oh, let's keep moving. So for the hydraulic lines, for the lower hydraulic line, it doesn't say it in the instructions, it just says install the hydraulic line. So let you guys know, instructions suck. Suck, 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 suck. Very much suck. Did I say they suck? Yeah, they suck. All right. So what you want to do
is you want to actually feed that crossover hydraulic line. There's 2 square channels down the middle here. You want to feed the hydraulic line through there, and that way the cables are on the side and they're not going to chafe on the hydraulic line, and it fits right into the middle. So I'll go ahead and snake it through, and we'll put it on top and get back connected up. All right, and for our cylinder going to the power, we have a pass-through. One side is JIC, the other side is MPT. So on the MPT side, we need to take and grab some PTFE, aka Teflon tape. Make sure I'm wrapping this the right way. So you wrap it counterclockwise to the threading, or opposite of the threading. That way when you go to put it in, the open face of the tape is to the back side, so it's not going to take and start unwinding on you. And down here, there's a little pass-through hole where we put this guy in and into the cylinder and tighten it up. So I gotta pull the plug out first, so I need a screwdriver. And then we'll put this guy in. There it is. Got it. That was way more work than it needed to be. Get this guy in here. All right, let's go ahead and get this last hose on here. It's gonna go from down there on the end where we put the little extender to right back here to another JIC. So we'll go ahead and connect that up real quick, and then we can probably fill it with hydraulic fluid. So here's another one for you guys. So those top hats with the top pulleys on both. So guess where in the instruction manual it tells you to install them? It doesn't. It just, I guess magically you're supposed to be on there, and you're supposed to know that you're supposed to orient them to opposite sides so the pulleys don't cross over. So once again, the instructions are garbage. So I'm gonna go ahead, install the fasteners in them now that they're pretty much situated where they need to be. And that's gonna mostly wrap it up, and we can fill it with hydraulic fluid. Right, last thing for today, we're gonna install the arms, and then maybe tomorrow, we'll do the electrical to get a cord on this so you can plug it into the 220. And then we will also do the hydraulics. We gotta bleed them. Once we bleed them, we gotta balance it out, make sure it's all functioning as intended, going up and down as a single unit, both equally. So I think we did pretty good for today. So like I said, arms, and then see you tomorrow. It is the next day. We're gonna use a 10 gauge extension cord. We're gonna put our 650 NEMA plug on there, and we're gonna go ahead and wire it into a box. And we're gonna put some sort of like hook to keep the wound up wire in there. After we get this put in there, we're gonna fill it with fluid. And after we fill it with fluid, we're gonna do a test run on it. All right, as part of the course, no instructions on how to wire this in. It doesn't tell you where to connect this guy, which is the safety shutoff for the height. Doesn't tell you anything, so we'll go ahead and wire this in. First thing we're gonna do is remove these little pigtail splice wires. Oh look, 12 gauge, even though it says to use minimum 10. Curious, no? No, not really. I think we're just gonna go ahead and use 12 gauge because the motor is 2200 watts, which is 10 amps. So we should be good at the 12 gauge. All right, so first let's go ahead and remove these two. Oh, and the block inside, yeah, it was loose like this too. Like I said, we're gonna ground this to the case, but first we need to get our 220 in here. So I'm gonna take and punch out. Obviously, the best choice is where the label's at. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this guy off down here, just so we have it come straight down like that. All right, so now that we checked that it works, I'm gonna unplug it. And we're gonna button this up. So for that, we just gotta gently ease this guy back in here. Alright, so this says on the instructions, once again, because we suck, it says use 10 weight. Then on another page, it says use number 46 hydraulic fluid. On another page, it says 32. So I'm going with 46. All right, last thing before we do a test run, we're gonna install this guy. It's just these 4 Allen heads, and it goes right up there. Well, I think we're just about ready. There's gonna be some finishing touches. There's a little cable ties that mount up on the side of this. It's a little bit of cable. And then we still need to balance it. We'll do that tomorrow once we get the 944 on here and put some load on it. But for now, let's run it up and make sure it works. So you guys can hear it, it's going click, 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 click. So it's supposed to be going click at the same time. So that's what I was talking about, we need to level it off. So we'll go ahead and level it once we get some load on here. That way it seats and it stretches all the cables while it's doing it. So we'll get it pretty close and then we'll take and put some load and balance it out. Alright guys, I'll see you back tomorrow and we will, like I said, get some weight on here, balance them out, and then we'll put the 944 up. Alright, last thing we have to do is adjust it like I said. So what we're gonna do is the line running down, we're gonna tighten that up, and then the back one that's exposed from the top, where we can easily adjust it from the inside, we'll go ahead and use that for the adjustment on both sides. So I'll tighten this up, lock it in place, and then we'll put the trike, since it's already in here, on the lift to weigh it down, even it out, and then we'll adjust it.
it is within 1/4 of an inch of each other, so when it settles, it kind of does a little wiggle, but it's within tolerance. The locks hit at the exact same time, and that's 1/4 inch off from that one height-wise. It's not something that we could just shim up that high. So everything's good to go. It's all done.
Well, there it is, guys. She's all done. Catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching.